Right, okay. Going live, it says. And that's it. I think we are actually live now.
I can't see anything.
I've given you the link to YouTube.
Hang on a minute.
Evening, everybody. Hi there, Martin here. How are you? It's nice to see you all. This is all a little bit strange for Mike and I at the minute. As I dare say, it's a little bit odd for you too. So we're starting early as usual, just so we can kind of find our feet a little bit, and then we'll kick off with the demonstration at whatever time I said, 7:30. And hopefully you can all hear us as well. Let me just put the little bit odd for you too. Oh yes, yeah, they can hear us. That's good. So how is everybody? Did everybody have a good Christmas? Mike, do you want to say something?
Yes, hello, good evening, everybody. I'm just currently trying to get out of the
go live. I've set a.
Mike's listening to it on YouTube.
Right, I've got a test thing going up, which is.
What are you doing, Mike?
I don't know. I'm looking at YouTube. There's me. I can't make myself come on, can I?
You can when you speak.
All right. But when I speak, I come on then. Well, that's me from when we were having our test.
Which doesn't seem.
Yeah, well, you're looking at the wrong link.
I want it.
Ah, right. Okay, then.
Oh, this is classic. This is going so well already.
Talk amongst yourselves, lads and lassies.
200 people, Mike.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, you'll have to do this on your own, I think. Well, I can't find the link. We've got the Just Giving one, and the Zoom link, and then a YouTube link that you put in. I think that went okay. I'm sure it will be fine in Messenger, and the link was before that. Wasn't it?
that was the test one. Hang on a minute.
Okay, no, whoa. So let's go up here again. Just Giving. I've got the Zoom meeting link and the YouTube link. Right, let's try that.
All right. Steve Ash is saying technology is a wonderful thing. It is indeed, Steve. Yes. That was the test one.
Hang on. It's especially good in my hands. Let me tell you. Oh God! Everybody can hear me talking.
Yeah. Can you? Steve Ash is saying technology is a wonderful thing.
Yeah, I heard.
Indeed, Steve. Yes. Yeah. Mike, you need to mute the YouTube video.
It's especially good in mod. Right.
That's better, because otherwise, when it comes through.
Yeah, that's fair comment.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Everybody will hear it like 3 different times.
All I've got to do. You see, the thing is, everybody. Let's have a look. I've got to get the chat up now. This is all different, you see, to when I actually host something. So the best thing to do is get rid of all that and go to the top. And James Wessex. I won't say good evening to everybody, obviously, because I'm late to the party. Right. Okay. Right, I'm here now.
Are we good?
Yeah. I can only see me, of course.
You're settling. Well, that will change anyway. So we've raised nearly £100 already. We haven't even started yet. That's really good.
That's excellent. That's superb. One thing I've got to ask, actually, in the full view of everybody, so they can have a laugh. Now you've come on. Are you changing the pictures, or is it only when you're talking?
It's only when I talk. Zoom will switch to whichever one of us is talking.
Right, okay. Okie dokie.
So what were you going to ask?
I've asked it and you've answered it.
Oh, oh, right. I thought you were going to ask something a little bit more profound.
No, I don't do profound. You should know that.
It is very strange, though, having Zoom on one side of the screen
Yes.
and YouTube on the other side of the screen. And with the delay, the camera's swapping. So we'll just have to try and ignore that as much as possible.
Yeah, I think you're right. But you've got to keep it in eye to make sure that the right picture is coming up to our viewers.
Yeah.
And I hope everybody realises or is appreciative. As you can see on Martin's or your left-hand side, you can see Martin's badge for the Register of Professional Turners, RPT. And I'm very pleased to announce that I actually awarded myself a similar badge, RAT, which is the Register of Amateur Turners. So I hope that everybody appreciates this accolade that I've bestowed on myself.
Oh. Yeah, there's got to be a 10 to 15 second delay, I think, Mike.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Mr. Reynolds, for your donation. Are you going to make it apparent to people, because people are already donating via Super Chat?
Yeah, can we? Oh, yeah, folks. What Mike and I decided to do in the end was set up a Just Giving page for donations rather than having them come through Super Chat and then I paying out. So if you can please use the link that I'm going to post in the chat any minute now or any second now, you can also see up here there is a QR code in the corner of the screen that you can use to donate. You can use your smartphone to donate via that QR code as well. And just coming up in the chat is the link to our Just Giving page. And that's not it. That's the YouTube link I was going to send to Mike. So bear with me a second, folks. Where's it gone? That one there.
Can I just interrupt for a second and thank the 3 people that have very kindly donated via Super Chat. Very much appreciated.
Yes, I will pass those. I will pass those donations on for you. So please use the Just Giving link that is coming up in the chat right now. And
I will actually explain the reason why YouTube take a hefty percentage of all donations by Super Chat. So we don't want that to go to YouTube. The percentage that they take, we want the 100% to go to Mind UK, and doing your donations via the method that we're asking you to do it by means the 100% goes to the charity.
Yeah. So the charity tonight, folks, is mind.org.uk. They're a mental health charity here in England and Wales, and they have been doing some amazing jobs this year looking after and helping support people with mental health issues, as well as campaigning for wider awareness of mental health problems and campaigning for change in various legislations and fighting for more support for people who are suffering with mental health problems. So all of your donations, please do put them through the Just Giving page that we are, that is a pinned message. It's a pinned comment on the live chat now. So please use that there. Up in this corner here, you can see a QR code that you can use your smartphone. You can scan that QR code with your smartphone and it will take you straight to the donations page on Just Giving. And right down here, you can see a running totalizer, which is currently at £122. And we're hoping to raise 500 tonight. Although I think we may well exceed that. So all of your donations will go straight to Mind via Just Giving. Thank you. Oh. And I've got the radiator on in here, but it's a little bit chilly still.
Yes, I looked actually this afternoon. I've got the same radiator that you have, or you've got the same one that I got.
Yes, it's a rather good one.
It is, yeah.
Oh, Emma's in. Hi, Emma.
Hi Emma, how are you?
Thanks, Mike. Mike Doyle says the Just Giving link works great. It's fast and easy, so that's awesome.
Excellent.
So, Mike, do you want to run people through what you're going to be turning tonight? I'll mute my mic and you can chat away.
Yes, indeed. Okay, guys and girls, the project for tonight is a three-sided or three-cornered bull. And I haven't turned one for about 2 years until this practice piece here. And this is Spalted Beech. So that is what I'm going to be turning, and there is the piece already mounted on the lathe, and I'm using here what they call rubber chuckies, and that's got triangular indents to put the corners of the blank in. Now, the other way of doing it, if you haven't got these, which a lot of people won't obviously, is simply to place the blank between the spindle and a hollow live center. The only, not trouble with this, but doing it that way, it takes a little bit of jiggery to get it as central as you possibly can. And that's basically what I'm doing. And no color. The only color that will be shown on my piece tonight will be Mother Nature's. But I suspect it'll be slightly different from Mr. Saban-Smith. Over to you, Martin.
Thanks, Mike. Yes, this evening, folks, I'm going to be doing, where is it? That one, that camera there. I'm going to be doing a little pot like this one. I posted it on Instagram the other day. It's a very simple little sort of Japanese style pot, but has been painted black and red and in a style that is a little bit similar to the kind of paint style that you would see on items from pool pottery, that kind of thing. So that's what I'm going to be doing this evening. I may well be doing an extra sort of little design, a couple of trees perhaps on the side of the piece. I'm not absolutely certain just yet. But Mike and I, we've got an hour each to get through our pieces. That will be all right with you. And so we're going to be doing 10 to 15 minutes each, kind of tag teaming. So Mike will do 10 minutes, I'll do 10 minutes, and then we'll keep going. We'll keep going like that. And you guys are amazing. There's £265 already been donated on the Just Giving cause. So you guys are fantastic. Thank you very much.
Pete's Twisted Tree has just donated 20 quid through Super Chat.
Thanks, Pete. I'll pass that on to Mind for you, Pete.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Just a reminder, if you have just joined us, there's 310 people here. Please use the link that is posted at the top of the chat across to our Just Giving page, or you can scan the QR code with your smartphone that's just up there. And I will also drop it into chat a few times as we go through the evening too. Cool. So, Mike, who's going to go first, me or you?
Well, being that I'm the oldest, I don't mind. I really don't mind.
Age before beauty, Mike. So after you.
Okay. So it's over to me, is it?
Yeah. Are we going to start? Or are we going to wait till 7:30 because we're a few minutes early?
Yeah, I'll go first. Somebody, I missed the name because chat went on too quickly. Somebody asked me where I get the truckies from. I'll put a link in the description below. I'm sure Martin will as well. It's the rubber chucky company in the States. And Don, the owner, very kindly sent me these about 2 years ago, just after I did my first three-cornered bowl. Well, until yesterday, I hadn't turned another one, so I'd never actually used them to turn a three-cornered bowl, but they are brilliant. So the link will be in the description below, and it's from the Rubber Chucky Company in the States. So that hopefully answers that question. Oh, and I must say good evening to Jennifer Staunton, because I know she gets annoyed when people don't say hello to her.
Hi, Jennifer.
Well done, Marley.
Oh, so I hope everybody had a nice, safe Christmas. It certainly was a little bit more different to usual, but I hope everybody had a nice, relaxing time and didn't drink too much or eat too much. I had a minging hangover yesterday, Mike.
Well, you deserve it.
terrible hangover yesterday.
I'm lucky. I didn't drink too much, just about half a bottle of wine and a couple of brandies.
No, my good lady wife demolished a whole bottle of vodka on Christmas Day.
Oh, good for her. Good for her.
I'm not sure if she's watching at the moment, but yeah, she went through an entire bottle of vodka.
I noticed Phil Bolter has just said, using something for the first time, what could possibly go wrong? Exactly. The thing is, Phil, I can be using something for 8 years and it'll still go wrong, my friend. So there's no news there, let me tell you.
Oh, 334. Oh, my word. Look at that. 485 quid already. You guys are amazing.
That is absolutely stunning. And I hate using that word, but I can't thank all of you enough that have donated.
That's amazing.
The feel good atmosphere in my workshop is far better looking at the amount of money that we've already raised for mines than it's going to be when I do this 3-cornered bowl. All right, Phil.
Rubber Dub Wood is asking, why am I not in an elf costume like Emma last night? Well, Rubber Dub Wood, I don't think Emma's elf costume would fit me, frankly. And add to that, I haven't got one.
Keep talking, Martin. I'll be back in 2 minutes, all right?
All right, okay.
Keep talking.
Oh, my good lady wife is watching. So I think I have just told 300 people that my wife drank an entire bottle of vodka on Christmas Day. Never mind. I must admit, I did also tuck into a bottle of whiskey on Christmas Day as well. Oh, Emma says, oh, that's not an elf costume, Emma. Okay. That's your normal workwear. Delivering stuff. Cool. Right. I'm just going to drop the link back into the chat one more time. And don't forget that the link for donating is also pinned to the very top of the chat here. Oh, excuse me. It's pinned to the very top of the chat, and all of your donations through Just Giving will go straight to Mind, the amazing mental health charity here in England and Wales. And that's it. We've done it. We beat 500 quid. That's amazing. But don't stop there. Keep going. Keep going. Let's see how much we can raise for Mind this evening. So that's awesome. Mike has just disappeared off somewhere, so I am left holding the fort, as it were. But as soon as Mike gets back, we will crack on with the 2 demonstrations for you this evening. Do. Hi, honey.
I'm back.
Mike's back.
I'm back. And I just thought that I haven't got an elf's costume. But I just thought maybe this might be a fair substitute.
That'll do, Mike.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
I'm not going to turn in it. As I asked on social media, do my ears look big in this? Hello, Roy V. Hello, Rob. Rubber Dub. We can't go through everybody, unfortunately, but for all the people that have arrived, thank you very much indeed. We do appreciate your presence.
Oh, Mike, have a look at the totalizer, mate.
Good grief. That is phenomenal.
That is amazing, isn't it?
Well, that's it, folks. Thank you very much for coming.
Thanks for tuning in.
Target. We shan't bother turning now, so you can all get back to what you were doing. Thanks very much. See you soon. Good night.
Okay, Mike. Our amazing viewers have done a fantastic job of already beating the £500 target. So should we get started? Do you want to get started and do your 10 minutes?
Yeah, I'll take my hat off.
Okay, awesome. Right then, everybody. It's an absolute pleasure to, you all know Mike anyway, but I'm going to introduce him anyway. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's with great pleasure. This evening's pantomime turning will begin with Mike Waldt starting his turn of a three-cornered bowl. I'm going to mute my mic so I don't interrupt Mike with his. So I'm going to hand over to Mike. Over to you, mate.
Okay, hello everybody again. So the project tonight is going to be turning one of these, which is a 4-inch cube, into one of these, hopefully. And the reason I'm showing you this, that's not finished, but the reason I'm showing you it is that's what it's supposed to look like, or similar. Now, I did actually mention in the beginning, I've got this between centres, and it's between rubber chuckies, which are designed specifically for this sort of a turning. But if you haven't got that, which is unlikely, then you can do exactly the same thing by placing the corners into your spindle at the headstock and into a comb centre in your tailstock. The only thing with doing that, as I explained to the people that were here initially, is that there's a little bit of altering to get it as central as possible. Because the idea, if I can go here, if you need to get the corners, this corner here needs to marry up as near as it can to this one, because then you get evenness. It doesn't have to be exact, but the nearest you can get it, the better. So the idea is to turn the sort of the shape. This will be the edge or the end of each of the wings of the bowl, if you like, and we'll be turning, it'll be ending up similar to that. So the first thing to do is to put safety gear on. And I know from experience, you can hear me through this, although there is a bit of a little whooshing sound. Now, in light of my last demonstration, this is not a how-to, this is not a guide for beginners on Untitled, it's a demonstration, and this is the way that I do it. But I'm not advocating that everybody should do the same as I do. Okay, now you need to have as much speed as possible. And I like to turn these to around 2,000 revs, because that means the air that you're turning comes round quicker. So when you like that, and the idea is to move down, just nibble away, nibble away. To show you the idea, there's a lot of stopping and starting with this. We started here now. Now that's going to be the edge. So already, actually, in my enjoyment, I've messed this up. That's good. So we'll start again. Sorry about that. I've actually gone too far because I was explaining and I've gone too far. Haven't I? No, I haven't. I'm getting confused. The old man is getting confused. So we'll put it back to where it was. No, I am confused. put this one in. I thought this might happen, so we can sort this out. And what I did yesterday, would you believe, when I was on my own, went absolutely perfectly. That's right. Okay. So let's start again. Maybe you can see the footsie where I'm going. And nothing's especially. You can see the shape is starting. This has got to all get round, so it's going to be slightly smaller, obviously, by the time you get to where you want to get. Starting to take shape even more. Those flat spots have got to go. Now, if you look, there's quite a bit of punkiness there, but I'm not worried about that. Already I was getting good at the bottom yesterday. Now I think you can see, now that flat spot, flat spot, flat spot, those have got to go, obviously. But you can see here already, we're getting a nice shape. Now, when you get to the wings, you obviously want to be as far as you can. Dependent, obviously, on the size of flank. Now here, we've already got rid of all the flat spots. A little bit there, but not too worried about that. Just on the very edge. Now, when you're doing this on the edge, you've got to be going this way because it could break out. You want as clean an edge as possible. So again, I'll feather it in, and the outside is virtually done, apart from turning the tenon. So again, very lightly, just to get that top spot at the end. top and look. Yeah, that's good. And what is a good indicator as well is that you can see there, this is obviously the outside of the bowl, you can see there that all the tips of what will be the wings of the bowl are all virtually in line. So all I've got to do now is to form the tenon, and I'm going to put it in cylinder jaws, and the reason for that is that it allows me to have quite a long tenon without it snagging on the jaws. Just changing the tool rest there so I'm getting nice and close. Now I don't know whether Mr. Saban-Smith wants to carry on with me while I'm doing the tenon and putting it in the chuck. The basic part of the turning is complete. It went quicker than yesterday. Again, be always mindful of the spinning corners. If that just goes down, you've got to take the finger out. So just calipers again. Just about there. Okay, so what I'll do now, or what I would do now normally, slacken ever so slightly and use the parting tool to where the settings go. I'm not going to start this off on the line. I'll go down again. Any saw that you want, you can slack it off on a bit there. Get your tool rest out the way and just saw through here. There we go. And that is stage one of the turning. So over to you, Martin. Well, I put it in the chuck and I'm ready for the next bit. Martin's gone on holiday, maybe.
No, I'm here, Mike.
Okay.
I'm here. Could you? Your audio there was a little bit overpowered by Zoom's noise cancelling. Can you just have a little check on your audio settings just to see if you can turn that down a bit?
Okay.
Under audio settings, I've got mine set to medium.
Right. On Zoom.
Yeah, in Zoom, just your audio settings. Just change it down to medium and see what happens. See what happens there.
Right, I can't find
Audio settings, bottom left corner, next to the mute.
No, I don't mean that. I haven't got a Zoom thing up. Oh, hang on. There we go. Right, settings. Where are we?
Audio settings.
Yeah, hang on. Where's the settings on Zoom?
Down the bottom left-hand corner, where the mute button.
Oh, okay. Audio settings. They are on medium. Input level is.
No, it's
the input level is. The
it's below that.
You want it higher or lower?
Suppress. Just below where it says input level, you've got suppress background noise.
No, I've got automatically adjust volume.
Have you? It might be under advanced settings then.
Oh, you're not being advanced. Suppress persistent background noise, auto.
Yeah, change that to medium. See
Moderate,
that.
to moderate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Done.
Brilliant. Cool. And if you mute your microphone, then I can take over.
Okay.
Cheers, Mike. Thank you very much. Brilliant. Right. Okay. Thank you for that, Mike. I'm going to take over now for 10 minutes or so. And what I've got on the lathe here is a piece of sycamore. You know me and sycamore. I absolutely love sycamore, and it is perfect for this particular project, or at least I think it is. So just to give you some dimensions quickly, if I can find a rule, we've got there's about 6 by 3.5 inch blank on there, which should be just about perfect for what we want to do. And for those of you who have just joined or recently joined, this is what we're going to be turning this evening. It's a little piece. It's a sort of a Japanese, very simple style sort of pot with some black and red gesso decoration on it, but there's a particular technique I use for that gesso. But to start with, of course, I need to get it round, so I'm going to stick on some safety glasses. Make sure everything's locked down. Of course, the tool rest is at a suitable height. Fire up the lathe, get a decent amount of speed running through it, and then start the cuts. And now when it's getting a little bit smaller, I'm just going to move the tool rest in just a little bit and then start the lathe up again. There we go. I'll see what I can do to keep my eye on comments as well. Little bit more speed. One more pass and then we'll put the tenon on. I think let's just see if that's round. Is that round? I think I might need to do a couple more passes. Yeah, one more pass, I think. One more should do it. Hopefully my audio's okay. There we go. And with that done, I can put that tool back and then pick up. Now, what's that? That's Les Thorne's 10mm multi-purpose tool. I've got my calipers here as well, and I'm going to put the tenon on this left-hand end. Get the tool rest up to the right height. That always helps. Just tidy up the end a little bit. And then just work out the tenon using the calipers. A little bit further. A little bit more. And because this is a fairly large lump of wood, there we go, that'll do. I'm just going to extend that tenon just a little bit. Hopefully that's not too deep for the jaws. There we go. And then I can just switch that out to put the chuck on. Now, I can't actually see my video here. So I'm kind of doing this a little bit blind, but there we are. Okay. That's that. Move the tailstock out the way. And then fit that in there like that. That looks good. Splendid.
I must say something and interrupt, Martin. We have raised £911.60 up to now.
Wow. That's amazing. We keep saying amazing. Mike, we need to find another, we need to think of another adjective. That's fantastic.
It is absolutely mind-blowing. I'm sorry.
That is unbelievable, everybody. You guys are so generous. You give yourselves a big round of applause and a pat on the back. So superb job. Thank you, everybody. Okay, right. I'm going to change to my tailstock cam now, so you can have a look at what we're doing here. I think that looks all right. And so it's mounted. Let's just go back to the spindle cam for a second. So it's now mounted in the chuck. It's nice and secure. And start the lathe off fairly slowly. That's looking good. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a nice cleaning cut across the end here, or a couple of cleaning cuts just to smooth it all off. Got to remind myself to slow down. This isn't a race. And then one more for luck. Super. That looks nice, that. Oh, just got to move the tailstock out of the way a bit more. There we go. There we are. Okay, it's a nice piece of wood, this as well. But of course, we're going to be painting the outside of it, but we're going to leave the inside of it completely natural. And I'm moving over to a Robert Sorby hollowing tool for this in a minute, because I actually need to do a little bit of shaping, just a little bit to start with. Oh. My tailstock's stuck. Ugh, there we go. That's got it. Just wind that in there a little bit. And I'm going to take my previous piece and just work out how deep I need to go. So I'm going to put a little mark just there, really, just to start with. And that'll be a good rough depth gauge for me as I start to do a little bit of shaping. We don't need to do very much, of course, because we've got to do quite a lot of hollowing in here. And where we've got to do the hollowing, we need to keep a fair amount of stock at the bottom of the piece to give it some strength when we go through putting all those forces in with the hollowing tool. So we'll go back to the spindle cam, and I'm going to pick up a 3/8 bowl gouge, because this is, although this is a spindle project, let's just line that up. Although this is a spindle project, it's a little bit too big, I think, really, to use a spindle gouge on, particularly when I just want to lose a fair amount of wood here. I'm just going to run down there, very slightly taper it, and then start to just turn it in. Hopefully my head's not in the way. Look at those lovely shavings coming off there. And turn that in a little bit more as well. Take a little bit more off from behind the piece. Turn that round a bit. Take a little bit more off there. And that's probably all the shaping I want to do just at the moment, is just give me a very rough shape. Super, that'll do. Now I can wind that back out. There we are. Oh, look at that. There's even a little bit of ripple in there as well. It's almost a shame to paint over it. So we're going to go now with the tool rest cam, and that should give us a nice view of the hollowing tool and what that's doing on the inside of the piece. Move that out of the way. Get the tool rest up to the correct height. Still too low. A little bit higher. A little bit higher still. There we go, that should do. Start the lathe up. Very nice 6mm cutter on here. It's not the greatest view from this particular camera, but it'll do. It's going to take me a little while to get down here, so I think, Mike, are you fit to go again?
Yeah, 2 seconds.
Cool. Right. If you take over whilst I just I load more of this out, that'll be really helpful.
That's good. Then I can hopefully hollow mine out, and then I can do some sanding and what have you, maybe while you're finishing yours off.
Crikey, Mike, it's 1,100 quid.
I know. It's absolutely stupendous.
You can say amazing if you want, Mike. I think everybody's waiting for us to say amazing again.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. Amazing.
Amazing. Okay, Mike, I'm going to mute my mic.
Okay.
And I'll carry on hollowing this out.
Okie dokie. Am I back now?
Yep, you're back.
Okay, guys, we'll go to the overhead now, and no, we won't. We'll go to that one. Okay, so we've got to a stage now where I haven't done anything while Martin was turning, apart from drink coke and vape, actually. I've got quite a good finish off there off the tool, and no sanding. So the reason I want to just hollow this out now and leave it like that, I can leave it in here and I can do the sanding and finishing if there's time. If not, I will leave the tenon on anyway and I can do it at a later date. So this is basically just like a bowl, apart from the fact we're starting at the pointy end. Put my respirator on. Okay, again, going with a 1/2 inch ball gouge. Now what we want to do here, while we're at this end, what I like to do is to approach it inwards as opposed to this way, like we normally would do a bowl, because then you're putting pressure against the headstock. Now you can see it's not running completely true, but it's next to makes no difference. So we're going to be running at about 1,500 there, and just nice light cuts. With a swinging to just nibble away until we get to some now we've got something over here. Let's ever so slightly. And apart from this bit, and for the newer turners, always remember to turn the lathe off. apart from the air, which is here, it's just like turning. Hopefully you can get the idea. What I'm working at, because when I first did these years ago, I had a great problem trying to fathom in my mind what I was aiming for, a bit like off-centre turning. But basically, you want this edge to be here. So it's going to be that shape, all the middle will be gone, and follow the contour of your wall. And that is the point of the exercise. So if we go to the tailstock, you can see me doing some of the hollowing. Bring the rest in. As I say, always stop the lane, remove the rest, like we always do. When you're doing something like this, I always say there's no hard and fast rules. Experiment with different things. Like, no, I'm not just going from the middle out, I'm getting rid of some of the corners. Getting to solid wood. Probably going too far with that for the newer turners now, is going to be bending over the tool. So my advice is to work on the middle as you would have done. So whenever process, then we'll carry on off camera. There's no sound from my a lot of possibilities with this actually. I'll stop and show you this for a minute. Let's take myself. It's not really a demo. I had an idea that I don't know if some of you might remember. I did a potpourri bowl, a winged bowl, and it had a raised section in the middle, which I hollowed out, but it was raised. I thought, like, this is a sphere I did ages ago. That is quite pleasing. Now, if you had a middle plinth in there, if you like, hollowed out to the right diameter for the ball, then you could turn a sphere and that could be there too. It's a bit of a compensation piece. It's removable. You could do a contrasting wood or even the same sort of wood. So there are a few possibilities for adapting this type of bowl for other things as well. In my humble opinion, of course, which is worth nothing. Okay, I'm just going to swap the turn my bowl goes round on a fresh edge. I can sharpen those up then when it's the Saban-Smith. I'm going to there. Okay, so basically just carry on hollowing. This is where, in my opinion, and I'll let you take over now, Martin, in a second. When you're getting to the edges here, near to the points, you want to be going down, leaving as much in the middle as possible to give support to the edge. You don't want to be turning the bowl all the way down to the middle to this depth and then working on the edge, because you're going to be getting vibration and you're going to get flexing of the wood. So I think Martin's ready to take over again. So we'll leave mine there and pass it on to Martin.
Cool. Thanks, Mike. I'm here. Mike. If you could just mute your mic, that would be grand. Splendid. Cheers, matey. Right. Okay. Thank you for that, Mike. I've done a bit more hollowing out on my piece, and just for Paul, no, the two colours I'm going to be using tonight are not new products for me. I will talk about them when we get to that bit. But I've done a load of hollowing in there now. You might be able to see. And I'm just beginning to smooth out the sides using a scraper now. So I'm moving on to a scraper rather than the carbide tool. And the scraper, I'm just going to use the scraper to thin down the walls a little bit. Thin down the walls just a little bit, and also put a nice curve on the bottom of the piece. So I do need to go a little bit deeper, so I've saved a little bit of time, a few more cuts for you to show you how I do this. So I've got a nice wide 1-inch curved scraper, and I've got the tool rest set. So when the tool is presented to the piece, the cutting edge is actually trailing. So in a sense, it's a little bit like a negative rake scraper. And the lathe is running fairly quick. The lathe's at, how fast is that? That's at 1800 RPM just at the moment. And I can get nice and deep, and I'm taking fairly light cuts. Just going to thin the walls out a little bit. And put a little curve at the bottom. And if I change camera angle, you might hopefully be able to see straight down the lathe bed when I do this, so long as my shoulder's not in the way, which it might be, or the back of my head. I think you're okay. It's a bit of a funny angle for me to be standing at, but it's okay. And the scraper is sharpened as much as I possibly can. So we're getting some nice shavings coming off there as well. Look, getting some nice shavings coming off with the scraper. And that's leaving a super smooth surface on the inside of the piece. That's feeling good in there. I do want to get a little bit deeper. Let me just pull up the other piece just to do a little comparison. Oh, we're almost there. A few more cuts just to get it a little bit deeper with the scraper. And then that'll be good. So we'll go back to the tool rest camera. Just take the little dimple out the bottom. One final cut along there. Thin the wall out a little bit more as well. That'll do. Move the tool rest out of the way. And just pull up the tailstock cam. Hopefully you'll be able to see we've got a nice smooth surface in there. A little bit torn out, tiny little bit torn out, which isn't a surprise with a scraper, but most importantly we've got a nice smooth curved bottom down there. So that looks good. Right, so the next thing I need to do really is finish shaping the outside of the piece and also sand the inside. So sanding the inside I'll do next. Mike, are you in a position to take over for a minute?
Yes, I can. People are saying that there's a problem with my mic, and there's not. I don't know if it's Zoom.
Is your mic outside your face shield?
I haven't got my face shield on at the moment.
No, when your mic when you're talking now is fine.
When I do lives, it's fine. It doesn't. I think Zoom is picking it up. What I'll do, I'll use my UVEX. I won't use my respirator, so there won't be any motors going.
All right.
Hang on.
Yeah, try that.
Try that instead. That should be okay now.
But just before you start that, Mike, I'll just say what I'm going to do for the sanding on the inside of the piece, if that's all right.
Can I just ask people there if they can hear me now? Can everybody hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you fine. It's when the lathe starts that it starts to get cancelled out.
Yeah, that's because it doesn't normally on my lives. You can normally hear it okay.
Yeah, it's Zoom's noise cancelling.
Right. Okay.
Right. So just before you take over, Mike, I'm just going to talk very quickly about the sander I'm going to use. I'm going to be using the Simon Hope Pro Sander with his smallest 36 millimeter head on, and I'll do most of it whilst Mike is doing his bit next, and then I'll finish the sanding with 400 grit when I come back to you. Okay, Mike, ready?
Yeah, I'm fine. Thank you.
Cool. I'm muted.
Okay. Okay, guys. So what I'm going to do now is change to this. Hopefully you can hear me a bit better, because through Zoom was messing about with it messes about with the sound normally, because I don't normally get a problem on my lives. Okay, so we are now at a point. I didn't do any following while you were watching Martin. So the idea, as I say, is to hollow down here. We want a wall about a little bit thicker than that, maybe, all around. But my advice, if you're doing something like this, is just go in a little bit more here. This one's there. Take this down a little bit more, and then nibble away here to get the wall thickness that you want, while you've got support from the timber here. So again, about 1500 reds. And now we're starting to define. There's a lot of stopping and starting here. We're getting there now. I want to get about half that, maybe a bit more. We can take a little bit more off here. You need to take a bit more off, because if you go deeper, you're going to catch the ring. That's going to give me enough there. So now again, You're working on a ghosting all the time, so very carefully go in. Just to the side a little bit more. Just to the side the thickness of the wall. Just a tiny bit more, and you can see here we're starting to get solid wood here as well. So we can just go a little bit more on the outside. We'll rest in a little bit, and we're starting around here just to make those walls a little bit nicer. And that's the sort of thickness that I'm looking at. So now all I have to do is to follow that down and hollow it out. So let's get doing that. It's going on nicely. You can see there, I don't know if the camera will pick that up, wasn't actually a catch, but what happened was I slid back and I didn't have the register on the bevel. Now we're getting somewhere close to what we're looking at. So again, you've got to be moving wood away from here. Down at the level now where we've got virtually base of the wing. So that in itself will give support. I'm just going to stop here for a second, and that's the sort of idea I'm thinking of with regards to doing something like this, and then obviously the diameter of the bowl would be less, but that's the sort of design, and then you could have the ball in the middle, the sphere in the middle. So there, and even you could make a potpourri piece out of this as well. Just make a little lid for it. And the beauty of doing these with the long tenon, etc., is the sanding. I haven't done any sanding. I know you're all in awe of my tool control. I still think I would have done better with a spindle roughing gauge. Pete, if you're there. No, I'm joking. But maybe you can see on the overhead a bit better. We're a little bit fat there, obviously. We've got a little bit of moving wood to move there. Now, because this wasn't absolutely perfect in dimension and seating, I don't know if you can see it, it's barely noticeable. This wing is slightly thinner than there, only very slightly, but that's why it is important to get it as central as you possibly can. On solid wood. There is no rush. Just fixing. You don't need to take this. Again. And it's coming on really nicely. There's a little bit more down here, but it's following there, so you know that you've got to start your cut around this area here, because that's where it starts to get a little bit fatter. And obviously you can use negative rate scrapers or shear scraping, whatever you want to do to refine that shape. Martin's not back yet. Can you hear me okay? I'm still a bit muffled. Well, I can assure you there's nothing wrong with my mic at all. It's within my helmet now. I'm not using a respirator, so it's unfortunately down to Zoom. Okay, it looks like Martin is ready to come back now. Still having problems with my audio, Martin, apparently, which is a shame.
Yeah, I can hear that there are some. It's going to be Zoom's noise cancelling thing, Mike. There's nothing wrong with your microphone.
Oh no.
It is, for those of you who are watching who are perhaps unfamiliar with Zoom, Zoom has a built-in noise cancelling thing. So, Mike, it might be worth turning it off. In exactly the same place where you were before, but I think you can actually turn it off.
Okay, mate. You carry on with yours. I'll mute my thing now, and I'll fiddle around while you're turning.
Okay, doke, mate.
Okay.
Cool. Right. Okay. Now, where were we? Right, we have been doing. So, which camera am I on? I'm on the tailstock camera. So, whilst Mike was turning the inside of his bowl there, I've actually been sanding the inside of my piece. Just here, and it's currently sanded down to 240 grit at the moment. I've got one more grit to go, like I said I was going to show you, which is just the 400 grit. We've got a super, where's the right camera? We've got a super surface on the inside there. I'm very pleased with that. And I'm just going to do a few seconds with, what's that called? 400 grit, there we go. A few seconds with the 400 grit. Just to finish it off. So when you're sanding, of course, make sure you are wearing appropriate lung protection, and keep your eye protection on as well. And we'll just do a few seconds on the inside here. And I want to make sure I get all the way down to the bottom. All the way down there, make sure we get a nice surface down the bottom there. And that'll put the nicest, well, that'll put a very nice surface on the wood there that we can put some sealer on in just a second. So we'll just wiggle around there a bit. Stop there, clean the dust out. And I'm going to take my respirator off now. There we go. So the inside there is beautifully smooth. That's lovely, and that is an ideal surface for putting on some sanding sealer. Now, we won't be finishing the inside of this piece today, I don't think, because I've got a whole load of lacquer and stuff that I need to put on the outside first over the course of a few days. So I'm going to put probably 2 coats of sanding sealer in there, and you can see just how smooth that surface is on the camera. That's super nice. That a little bit on the rim as well. It doesn't matter if I get on any on the outside, because we're not dyeing this piece. We're going to be painting it fairly shortly. Right, so there's that. That's good. I'm happy with that. Bear with me a second. I can hang that back up. Brilliant. Oh. Hang on a minute. Something funny has happened with my computers. All of those.
You're back on, Martin. You're okay.
Oh, how long was I gone for?
About 2 seconds.
Ah, right, okay. There we are. I just needed to move all those cameras back over to the right place. Right, yeah, so that's been sealed. There's 2 coats of sealer in there. Now what I've got to do is finish turning the shape. And I bought some rubber chuckies as well a few months ago. Very handy. It's a shame he's not actually making them at the moment. Just need to put this in here. Oh, always helps if you unlock your tailstock before you move it forward. There we go. So I'll go back to the spindle camera, and I just need to put just a little bit of support up there for that. Is that okay? I think that looks all right. Yeah. So I'm going to go back to the bowl gouge. I'm going to change the bowl gouge to a 45-degree gouge. Now, I prefer using a 55-degree for bowls and stuff, but this isn't actually a bowl, is it? Of course, it's a spindle, and I need a slightly longer tip to get round and in there. And I might even end up using a spindle gouge just to get right in there. Just going to pull that back out a minute and just find, okay. Just had a little grope at the bottom of the bowl there just to find out where the bottom of the bowl is, which is about here. So I've got a little bit more space. Whoops. I've got a little bit more space to play with than I thought, which is great. Get a little bit of speed into the lathe now. And all we're going to do is we're going to finish the shape. So the bottom of the bowl's about here. I'm just going to finish the shape, slim the walls down a little bit. Just move the tool rest in a tiny little bit more. There we go. Take a little bit more off here as well. Roll that right under there. I want to get kind of a hemisphere shape, sort of a half circle kind of shape going on under here. So I need to keep fiddling around with this a little bit, taking away some wood. Let's just tickle that bit in there as well. Just smooth that curve off a bit. That looks nice. I'm happy with that. Come on, round the corner. Take that away. Roll it under. trying to keep that curve as smooth as possible. But of course, remembering that I can still smooth that curve round a little bit if I need to with some sandpaper under there a bit. Want that a little bit narrower, just a little bit. Just so I've got a teeny tiny base at the bottom there for it to sit on. So it's not a foot as such, it's literally just the bottom of the curve. Turn that round, just nibble away at that. That'll do. That's a reasonably nice curve. And then I can just sand that off a little bit. A little bit thick at the bottom. Let's just change that a bit. Just going to make this curve a little bit shallower, so the bowl isn't quite so bottom heavy. I'll just smooth that round there, nice and easy, nice and steady, right under there like that. Super. That looks nice. Let's just have a little feel of that as well. Yeah, it's still a little bit on the fat side. Take a little bit more off. So notice as I'm coming round here, I'm still keeping the bevel in contact with the wood all the way round. Take a little bit more off. Nice shavings coming off. We've almost got a goblet there, Mike. Just take that off just a tiny little bit, and that will do. I'm not going to faff around with that anymore. That's good. Now, all I need to do now is just do a little bit of sanding over the top of this, but down to probably only 120 or even 180 grit. That's all I need to do for that, because we are going to be painting it rather than dyeing it for a change. So I'm going to do that now. Mike, have you got anything else you need to do? Is Mike there?
Yes, I am.
You are there? Have you got anything else you need to do?
Yeah, I've got to finish hollowing.
Cool.
Only take a little while, and then maybe while you're doing your next bit, I'll do some sanding. I've just got to do, really what I'm going to do is just finish off the hollowing and refine it with a negative rate scraper, and for all intents and purposes, the turning is done then.
Brilliant. Right, I will sand my bit and reorganise my cameras in that case for the painting.
Okay, that's fine. I've done those settings, and I can do no more this end now for the sound.
No, fair enough. No worries. You can only do what you can do, Mike.
Yeah, okay, so it's over to me, is it?
Yep, over to you, mate. Catch you in a sec.
Okay. Hello again, I'm back again, and we will... I haven't done anything since you've gone, because that would be cheating, wouldn't it? So what I've done, another thing to mention to you actually, it's not a good idea because of the spinning corners to, if you've got a bigger bowl, to move your tool rest in my opinion, as you would on a bowl sometimes. So you have to be aware that your overhang, that's why I'm using a 1/2 inch bowl gouge, because it gives me more stability, and we're at the maximum we're only going to be overhanging about that much anyway. Okay, so I'll just carry on now, and hopefully the sound is improved. I can't do anything more. It is down to Zoom, not to me or Martin. Okay, so again, turning the 50 threads, and we just need to start just where the air is still. Nice light touch, so just put a fresh edge on the gauge. And also just keep stopping and check. Quite smooth now. You need to just bring it down about there. Bring it in a little bit. Just behind you, very gently, just a touch. And just move in. Now we're on solid wood. And you can leave it there. And we'll do a little bit of stability when you're taking it down. And we can work on the profile and have a little bit more support from just the handle, pick up the cut, if I go to the overhead, what I'm doing here, we're nearly there, you see, virtually there. What I'm doing here is looking at the profile as I'm turning and trying to gauge it by eye to get these equal. It's very slightly fatter there, it needs to come down, but that I can do with a negative rate scraper, you see, that's what I call refining. So I'm going to carry on just following out where we are and get that nice and as smooth as my tool skills will allow. A little bit of a ridge there, which is not a problem because that is on the solid wood, so we can just get rid of that. Lift the handle. Let this one go in some nice. That just take. Now I'm not using Simon's negative rate scrapers. Although they're very good, this is my favourite of all. The one I talked about immeasurably. It's 35 degrees. It's a 1-inch Rango scraper that I converted, and that's what I'm going to use to give us very nice light shavings. Gives a really super finish. Now it's got a little bump just here, to get rid of. And while you're working from the inside out here, because of that air that you're working with as well. basically what these bowls require, in my opinion. Now that's perfect, virtually perfect anyway. I can carry on with the hollowing now. It's refined. It's a lot of refinement. It's the same sort of idea, if you like, as when we're doing a square bowl. You want to get all the natural edge bowl, thin bowl. You want to get the extremities sorted out before you get rid of the meat of the wood. It's on the top, otherwise you get vibration and you get rippling through. And sand out, far better, and not hard to do that. The spalting. So we're virtually there now. One more, just a couple of passes now. We haven't got the negative range very thoroughly. We've got the major drill. Yeah, that's virtually there. If Martin, see Martin ready, you can take her over now, Martin, and I'll just carry on refining this. I'm virtually there. Over to Martin.
Cheers, Mike. Thank you very much. Right, so I've reset my cameras and stuff now, so you can get a better view of what I'm doing here. So on this camera here, you can see that I've got the piece. I just sanded the outside down with a little bit of 120 and then a little bit of 180 because now we need to start thinking about painting it. And if we look at the original piece that I'm going to sort of copy. You can see that we've got some red and we've got some black, and in between and where they sort of blend together, we've got lots of brush strokes. But that's not achieved just by one single coat. It requires multiple coats of black, multiple coats of red, all layered over the top of each other. And then it's then sanded back. So let me show you how I do that. Just here I've got some red gesso or gesso, however you want to pronounce it, and some black as well. They are just bog standard black and red gesso I picked up from an art shop ages and ages ago. And I've got two brushes here, both pretty cheap brushes, but they do a really nice job. I'm going to use the wide one for the black and the narrow one for the red. I'm going to start with the black. Which camera? That one? No. We'll go with that camera. There we go. So we'll go with the overhead camera there, and we're going to start with the black. And I haven't watered it down or anything, and I'm going to get a reasonable amount of the black on the brush, and I'm just going to flick that up just like that. So I think you can see how the brush marks are being laid down onto the piece. A little bit more. It doesn't have to be in a straight line all the way around. It can vary a little bit. So you can get, sort of a loopy shape or something like that. But I do want to try and get the colour or the paint laid on here smoothly, so there's no, big blobs of paint all round. So I'm just running around there, and you can see how the colours or how the black there is being flicked around by the brush. Pull that up a little bit higher. get it right down the bottom as well, because that's where we're going to have to part it off in a few days' time. So that's the first coat of black. Now I need to dry it off before we put the red on, because I don't want the colours to blend together to create kind of a nasty, muddy, very, very dark red. I want two distinct colours. So I'm going to dry it off with a hot air gun. Don't get it too hot. Keep turning the piece. These hot air guns are very, very hot. And if you're using sycamore like I am, then if you do get it too hot, it will crack sooner than a more robust species. Just wipe the dust off there. Okay, right, and now we can move on to doing the red. No, that's the wrong camera. Let's do that one this time. So the red with the thinner brush. It's a slightly thicker paint as well, this red, and we're just going to do that exactly the same thing, but just running back down over the top of the black. If I do it running towards the camera, then you'll be able to see exactly what I'm doing. So you can see as the red's going over the top of the black, because the black is dry, the two colours aren't blending together or mixing together. The red is laying on top of the black, which is exactly what we want. This is a much thicker paint. It could do with being watered down a little bit. You can pick this red gesso up from lots of different places. And when it dries, as you can see with the black, it goes matte. Just going around, just evening the paint out on the surface. And just while I'm doing this, I'm just going to say a big thank you to everybody who's donated to Mind this evening. That's we're raising money for the amazing charity work that Mind do here in England and Wales, looking after and supporting people with mental health problems. The pandemic this year has affected tens of thousands of people in all sorts of different ways, particularly with their mental health, of course. Let's just take that off the rim a little bit. Now I'm going to dry that. And then we're going to do another coat of black. Let's just make sure it is dry. I don't want to cut any corners. Don't get the paint too hot because it will start to bubble. I think you might be able to see there that it's just starting to bubble, which isn't ideal. I caught it just in time. So we'll do another coat of black now in exactly the same way as we did before. And now there's a little bit of heat in the underlying paint. This will dry off really quite quickly. I'm going to pull this coat up a little bit higher. Let's pick up some of that paint from around there. That's looking nice. And now you can see, just like on the original piece, you can see how those brush strokes are all beginning to kind of intertwine with each other. Make sure we get it all the way down the bottom there. Lovely, and then we'll dry that coat off as well. Definitely don't want to get it too hot. And where we've got these little bubbles just here, I think you can see those bubbles just there. I'm going to take a little bit of 400 grit paper or abranet and just lightly sand those off. There we go. Before we move on to the red again. So the red paint will change the camera to keep it interesting for you. So just pulling that red down over the top of the black that we've just done, of course. Trying to keep the paint nice and even. I think what we'll do when Mike and I have finished, we'll stop for questions then, because it's very difficult for us to respond to questions and stuff like that whilst we're actually doing this, because this is a very different environment for Mike and I. I'm very used to doing Zoom demonstrations, but neither Mike nor I have actually done a Zoom meeting like this and streamed it into YouTube at the same time. So the little teething problems that that you've experienced or we've experienced, sorry about those. This is a first, so I hope you can forgive us. There we go, there's a little bit more red on there. And then we'll dry that one off as well. Let's turn it a little bit cooler. There we go, there's another one there. And then I'm going to do one more black, I think, and then one more red. And then that will be the painting done. Then we'll go back to the black. And then we'll do it again. Because we're not quite finished yet either. We need to do some sanding to this. Let's pull that black up just a little bit higher. Pull that up just a little bit higher just to get those streaks running just a little bit further up. Put a little bit more paint on. Oops. I said a little bit, Martin, not that much. Just slide those up there. So as the brush comes up over the top, I'm letting the brush flick. I think you can see that I'm just letting the brush flick up, which is just allowing these really fine lines to appear. Some of them are thick, some of them are thin, some of them are only sort of one bristle wide. Mike, are you good to take over for a minute?
I can. I'm just doing some very rudimentary sanding now.
That's all right, Mike. I wouldn't expect anything less.
It's very good. I just want to get a finish on it. I haven't finished it by any means, but just want to get a finish on it because it's got some lovely figure in it.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you talk about the figure in your wood for a minute, I will do the last coat of or the last coat or two of paint on my piece. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. So it's over to me.
Okay.
Okay, I'm here. Hello. Okay. What I've been doing is just some rudimentary power sanding, if you like, and because it's, hopefully you'll pick it up here, this little piece here flipped off because it's very punky here, because it is spalted beech and it's quite heavily spalted there. So I've just put a little bit of medium CA on there. You can see the gap. Now, under normal circumstances, I would fill that, etc. But for the demo, it's on there quite solidly now. But I will spend a bit more time with that. But I want to just do a very rough sanding job on it, if you like, just so that I can put some sanding sealer on, which will just make the figure pop, so you can see how beautiful this is. Not the turning, but the actual wood. So I'm actually turning quite slowly, just doing some power sanding. Nothing major. Get rid of that. And it's actually, because the wood wasn't 100% dry during the turning, as you can, I don't know if you can show that. See that? It's actually moved a bit. But, you know, that's what wood does, isn't it? So I think we'll do some hand sanding. I'll just do a little bit more on here, very, very roughly, because I'm not going to put a finish on this. I'll just put some sanding sealer on, just to make it pop. And I shall then spend time getting it to my usual level of unexcellence. And I'm sure a lot of you would like to have your donations back now, because you're sitting here watching White Waldt doing some hand sanding. There you go. Oh, if anybody's on who actually sent me some messages, by the way, about the flooding that we've had in Bedford. We live outside Bedford, and thankfully we weren't affected. But what a lot of people I know were. They didn't actually evacuate, but it came very close to it. And I think Wayne the woodturner, is used to flooding where he lives, but we're not down here. And in actual fact, our managing director, I work for Stagecoach, sent us all a message asking for volunteers, because the mayor of Bedford had asked for volunteers to come in and with the buses if they were going to evacuate, because there were some 1,300 homes that were possibly going to be evacuated. But thankfully it wasn't necessary. So I'm just doing this to give it a half decent surface. I mean, it's pretty good off the tool actually, because as you know, my tool control is well, it's second to none, you know. We all know that's not true. A very rough sanding was that, and just enough to give it a wipe of sanding sealer. Ooh. And I get asked a lot about sanding sealer mixes, because my earlier videos I used to mix my own, and this is not plug-in Martin, but I've used the Hampshire Sheen pre-thinned for a long time now. And because it's very punky, it's going to soak up a lot of this as well. So hopefully it'll just darken and let me look at that. You see, where it's taking it in, what I would do, let's say normally, which I will do on this at a later date, I soak it with sanding sealer and then sand it a bit more, or maybe even negative rake again, because most previous turners obviously know the sealer does what it says. It seals up, it hardens the fibres, and on punky wood, that's always, when you put the sanding sealer on, it just drinks it. I think that shows the lovely figure there. Let's do the inside as well. And then maybe, no, Martin's not ready yet, that's okay, so I'll carry on with this for a minute. Let's change the camera so you can see this going on here. I think the main the main concern always when you're doing something with corners like this, it's when you're sanding, you can power sand on the solid wood, but when you start meeting the air, and there's quite a lot of air on these pieces, it's possible to do, but it's risky, not so much for injury, but for blowing the piece, because you catch the edges, they're just going to fall off. They're just going to fly off. So it's worth spending the extra time and effort doing it the traditional way of hand sanding. The actual piece to turn doesn't take long, and as you know, I'm not a speed turner like Mr. Wayne, but it is actually not a very, once you get the technique right and you know what you're aiming for, it doesn't take long to do the turn. But it's the finishing and getting it to the level that you're happy with that takes the TLC needed to get a really good finish. And this isn't the ideal wood either. A close grain wood is better for this sort of a turning, because you don't get bits flying off like that bit did. It all adds to it. Okay, so that's the sanding sealer applied. And as I keep saying, this is basically off the tool, just with a very minor bit of hand sanding. So it's come out rather well, he says. Let that dry now. So it looks like Martin's ready to come back. So see, I've coloured mine, Martin. I did a random colouring.
You did?
Yeah. Yeah, it's good.
It's a lovely shade of brown, Mike.
Yeah, no. I use the intrinsic colours to my expert mixing capabilities to produce this. There's a bit of sycamore. This is actually. You won't believe
is it? Looks good, right? I'm ready to take over now, Mike. Thank you very much.
Okay, over to Martin.
Cool. Right then. Okay, I've now done all the bits that that I need to. Oh, Mike. Could you mute your mic for me? Cheers, Mike. Thank you very much. And we're up to £1,376. You guys are so generous. Thank you so much. It's incredible. Thank you. Thank you. Right. Okay. Let's take a look at how I've left my piece for now. Here it is. Excuse me. Right. Yes. What I did was just after I handed back to Mike, I put another coat of red on and another coat of the black on, and you can see that we've still got some brush marks in here, which isn't really ideal. So I'm going to sand those off. I'm going to sand those off very lightly with some 400 grit. And where we have overlaid each of the colours, black, red, black, red, black, red, as each sort of layer comes off here, we'll be able to see kind of depth of brush strokes. You'll see what I mean. So I'm going to start the lathe up. I'm not going to worry too much about a mask for now, but just obviously when I'm doing this in a normal sort of environment, I would have my mask on. So I've got a little piece of 400 grit Abranet, and I'm just going to start to sand that over. Just a little bit, and I'm hoping that it is properly dry, otherwise it's all going to go a bit wrong. Let's just stop that there. There we go. And you can see, I think, just down here that it's beginning to smooth out, and we're beginning to see extra little brush marks coming in from underneath, which is exactly what I'm looking for. And also, because we've applied so much paint here, I mean, I think there's 4 or 5 coats of each, we can take off a reasonable amount of the paint to smooth the surface out. Let's just stop there. Yeah, that's looking good. I'll do a little bit by hand. Oh no, I'm going to keep the lathe running. It's not quite dry. It's dry enough for sanding, but I'm just being very careful not to put too much pressure onto the paint. Just take it off nice and lightly until I've got a smooth surface. Let's grab a couple of bits of kitchen towel. See, I've got some lines on there now, which is telling me that it wasn't dry, but a little more sanding should get rid of those. Let's find another piece of 400 paper and it will get rid of those. Speed the lathe up a little bit. There we go, gone. There we go. It does need another couple of coats of paint, but I'm quite happy with how that's turned out. It's looking very, very nice. So I will do a couple more coats of paint before we go on to finish. But the finishing process takes at least 24 hours, which I don't really have time for tonight. It would be the world's most boring demonstration if I was to stand here and talk to you about and demonstrate lacquering live. It really would. So that's actually coming out really quite nice. I'm very, oops, wrong camera. That one, that's an okay view. I do need a couple more coats of paint because we've taken just a tiny bit too much off the top here. So a couple more coats of paint of the red, I think will do. I won't do that tonight because of time. But you can see how effective that overlaying of the overlaying of each of the coats of paint, you know, lots and lots of times brings a lot of depth to the brush strokes when you actually see them on the piece. And if you do a little bit of research about pool pottery, you'll see where some of that inspiration has come from. For that, I will put another couple of coats of paint on there actually. Need another brush because that one's in its water now. Let's find another paintbrush. It'll have to be a wide one. Okay. So let's just touch that up a little bit. Get a little bit of paint on there. Oh, this is a nicer brush than the other one. Pull that right to the very top. Smooth it round a little bit as well. It's a little bit heavy on this side, so I'll just smooth it round a bit. Try not to turn the chuck and wipe the brush at the same time, because if you do that, then your brush strokes are going to be curvy, which is fine. I don't think it will be a problem, but I don't want curvy lines. I want nice straight brush strokes. I was very tempted to brush it the other way then. Don't want to do that. So I'll leave that there. And I'll just leave that brush just to one side as well for a minute. Ooh, dry that off. How close are you to being finished, Mike? Oh, he's not there.
Yeah, well, I'm here, Martin. It's all right.
Oh, you are.
I'll turn the space heater off. Well, virtually, I finished. I'm not going to put a finish on it because it's
Okay.
It's a bit punky. It needs a bit more work, and I don't want to spoil it. But it's all intents and purposes. it's finished. It just needs TLC and a bit more kindness to it to get it to the level I want. So I can take it up to the truck at any time and it's virtually done.
Okay, I'm just going to dry this off and sand it off a little bit more, and then I'll be done as well. And I'll just talk about how I'm actually going to finish the piece. That's all right with you?
That's what I'm going to do with mine as well. Is just say what I do.
Splendid, great. Okay, so I suppose we could leave our mics on now, or we could just chat for a minute just while I sort this out.
Yeah, just let me get a can of Coke and I'll be back.
Okay, so I'm going to put the spindle cam back on mine, and then I'm going to sand some of this off by hand, just where the paint went on a little bit thickly. Oops, let's throw that on the floor. I better go and pick it up. Oh, I've got stiff legs. Stiff legs from sitting around for 3 days. Let's just sand that off a little bit.
Okay, I'm here now. So I'll just talk for 2 minutes and just go through to let you know what I've done here while Martin was doing his bit. I've just applied the third coat of sanding sealer, and there are areas which are drinking it. That area there, for example, and on the edge here where that little bit came off, which now is hardly noticeable. But what I would do, the principle is to show you the method of turning a bowl like this. So what we've done, and I don't know if those of you remembered in the beginning, this is the blank I started with. I thought, hang on, I've gone wrong. Well, I confused myself, I hadn't. So I could have carried on using this one, because I was thinking I've taken the edges off, but the edges are up here. Those edges, those are the ones I was looking at. Never mind. So I didn't make a mistake, which is really quite rare for me. So anyway, what I would do here, I would sand to possibly 320, 400. I might use Yorkshire grit, I'm not sure. It all depends how I feel at the time. Not necessary really on this particular piece. Let the sanding sealer dry and then put the wax finish of your choice on, which in my case obviously is Hampshire Sheen. And that's really it. What these sort of pieces need are just that little bit of extra hand work, if you like, just to refine little pieces. Like on here, if you can, I don't know if the camera will pick it up, there's a little ridge there because it wasn't perfectly central. These two wings are perfect there, or as perfect as I want them, and there's a little mark there. Well, that just needs a little bit of hand sanding just to get rid of that little groove there. But all these things are finite tuning. But basically, I can take this out now and show you what it would look like. You can either, let's go to the face camera. See, that's the finished piece, essentially, as far as turning is concerned. Now the tenon, so I've done a couple. I don't know if I've got one here actually. No, I haven't. That's, you can leave a little foot on there, so you could pull it out from your jaws a little bit and then part it off and you've got a little foot. Or you can, again, the more experienced will know, you can use a jam chuck, whatever you like. You can put a jam chuck in your jaws and bring that up and use that jam chuck as a drive, bring up your tailstock, and you can turn away the foot as you would on a bowl. Because obviously that won't fit into button jaws or to cold jaws because of its irregular shape. So there are many ways of finishing it. And as I say, I'm quite pleased with, not pleased, quite astounded that I've actually thought of something that you could do with it as well. As I say, you could either put a sphere in it like so, you can have it raised like I was showing halfway through the turning, or indeed you can make a potpourri bowl out of that, and with that raised dish in the middle you can make a lid with holes in it and put potpourri in. So there's many options, because as it is, okay, it looks okay, but it's not very functional. Put a bit of fruit in there, whatever, but it's a nice turn, and it also hones your tool skills as well. But if you're doing it for the first time, I wouldn't recommend using asphalted wood. I would recommend using a tight grained wood. I mean, oak works well. My very first one I did was oak, and that's that one there. I don't particularly like the shape. It looks a bit like a claw, but it's got a big crack in it as well. But nevertheless, you can practice on anything really. So, but it's a good little turn, and it's an enjoyable turn as well. So I hope you enjoyed that and found it of interest. That's me finished, Martin. Really?
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
You carry on. I'll carry on talking, because I'll start looking at the chat and talking.
Yeah. Go through the chat. I'm just tidying up the paint here because I'm not happy with it.
I just want to have a quick look at something. I'll tell you what, you guys, I know Martin has said it, and I'm going to say it again, how amazing it is. We have actually done £1,406, which is 281.2% over our target of £500.
Really?
Absolutely, yeah.
£1,400. My word! Thank you ever so much, everybody. That is astonishing.
And what is it, Martin? Let's use the A word, shall we? It's amazing.
It's amazing. You guys and girls over there at home, wherever you are around the world, thank you so much for tuning in to watch Mike and I do this tonight, and of course for your donations. It's your generosity is just unbelievable. So thank you ever so much.
And I echo that. Absolutely superb. You're a great bunch. You really are.
Okay.
I don't want to go on too much, but I think I said in my Christmas message or something like the Queen, didn't I? Not meaning to sound like that. I really enjoy lives because I love the interaction, the banter. It's a great source of information as well, with the experienced turners passing on their knowledge to the newer turners. It's a great place, and you're a great bunch. And when this COVID, I think, finally does recede into the distant past, I think this is still going to be alive and kicking in the future for many years to come, because it's a great source of interacting with your subscribers, and I love it personally. I think it's great, and it's only because of you lot, and thank you very much.
Cool. Right. I'm ready to talk about my finishing now.
Sorry.
Everybody on here is lovely, apart from Mike, who always takes... Well, to be honest, I don't think Mike and I have ever had a pleasant conversation, have we?
I don't do. When we do, that's good. You finish, mate.
We've always been incredibly rude to each other. But we're being nice to each other tonight, Mike, which makes a nice change. We should do this more often.
No, we shouldn't. Sort of thing, yes, but not being nice to each other. I don't think that's very good.
No, we definitely can't do that. Right, I'm going to talk about my finish now.
I'll move on.
Right, okay, so here's the piece. Whilst Mike's been waffling on, I've just gone round and I've just tidied up that paintwork just a little bit, because I wasn't overly happy with it just a second ago. So I just quickly put on a couple more coats of paint there just to tidy the sort of the blend up between the black and the red. So what I will do now, here's the original piece. Let me see if I can show you that on a different camera. Hang on a minute. There we go. Let's do that camera there. There we go. So there's the original piece, and you can see that it's got a sort of a glass-like finish on there, and not so much on the inside. That's because the outside is lacquered, but the inside I've literally just put a couple of coats of gloss wax on the inside there. But the outside takes time. Don't expect to be able to do a glass-like finish very quickly. Just spraying on lacquer and leaving it, it's going to be shiny, but it's not going to be that super smooth glass-like finish. So what I do for my lacquer finishing is I'm going to sand that back again, as I've already kind of described. Just sand that back so it's a little bit smoother, and then put on a couple of coats of gloss lacquer over the top of that. Leave it for 20 minutes, at least 20 minutes, and then another couple of coats. Leave it for another 20 minutes, and then when it's touch dry, barely touch the surface, and just very, very lightly just cut the top back just a tiny little bit with some 400 grit paper. I'll then put on 2 more coats and walk away and leave it overnight to cure and harden properly. And then I'll come back the next day and I will do the same thing again. 2 coats, leave it, cut it back very, very, very lightly. Couple more coats, cut it back. Couple more coats, cut it back, and then leave it overnight again. And then on the 3rd day, when it's properly cured, maybe even the 4th day, in sort of humid temperatures and cold environments, you might find you need to leave it for maybe 48 hours to cure to a point where you can actually then go ahead and use abrasives to polish it up. I normally use Yorkshire Grit Black and then white, so the original and then the microfine, and then that will start to bring it up into that kind of glass-like finish there. So don't try and rush it. If you try and rush it, things can go wrong very, very quickly. And once you make a mistake with a lacquer finish, it's very, very difficult to actually get it right or put it right. So take your time. Don't rush the finishing process, because at the end of the day, it's the finish that is going to be seen by whoever you give the piece to, or if it's sat on your sideboard or you give it away, or even if you sell it, the finish is what's going to be seen. So make sure it is absolutely bang on. So that's what I will do with this. And where we've got a little bit of overspill just on the end here, I'll sand that back to match the inside, and then I'll just put a little bit of sealer and a wax over the top of the rim there, like that. So that is it. Oh, hodgepodge. Do you apply the lacquer with the lathe spinning? No, don't put the lacquer on with the lathe spinning. Do the lacquer with the lathe stationary, a little bit at a time. Just a little bit at a time. So don't rush. Don't rush. Don't rush at all. Do you think we might be able to hit £1,500 before we finish? Let me just put the link back in the chat. It would be lovely to finish on a high with that. So if you haven't donated yet, please do make a donation to the Just Giving page for Mind, the mental health charity. They do amazing work, incredible work with people suffering from mental health problems all over England and Wales. Frederick Day, question, will this work with normal acrylic paint? Frederick, probably. I can't see why it wouldn't, but make sure that the paint is matte, not gloss. Does anybody else have any questions at all? Mike, are you there?
Yeah, I'm just going to say something, that a lot of people take the mickey, if you like, out of my dislike of colouring. And I'm only saying this for one reason and one reason only, that it's true. I've got a lot of respect and time for people like Martin, Wayne, Gary Lowe, Pat Carroll, all these guys that turn wood into something different, if you like, and they accentuate it. I'm just one of these old-fashioned, boring old fart, but I can't say that on television. So, no, really, no dear. I've done far worse than that. I just like the natural wood. I mean, I get as much pleasure out of that as Martin and a lot of you will get out of colouring. Nothing wrong with colouring at all. I'm not against it. It's just not something I like doing as such. But I just wanted to say that I do have a lot of respect and admiration for these guys that do these wonderful things with wood. I appreciate it. But even Martin sometimes will say, I'm not going to colour that because it's a nice piece of natural wood. Not very often, but it
Only
does.
occasionally.
Yes, it has been known.
It has been known on occasions, yes. It has been, yeah. There's also £52.99p in Super Chat, which I will donate into.
Which means we're about £1.50 short of the 1,500 £.
Yeah.
Oh no, you've got to take the YouTube percentage off that, haven't you?
Yeah. Paul Morris is saying, am I planning on auctioning off the piece or are you going to burn it? Paul, I haven't planned to auction it. I could do, I suppose, when I finish it, and it won't be finished now until the new year because I'm actually not at work until the 4th of January. So it will be early January at the earliest by the time I actually get it finished. Steve Gordon, do you finish the base before lacquering? No, Stephen. What I do, let me show you this a little bit closer on the spindle cam. There we go. You can see it was actually on there for all of the lacquering and all of the polishing, and then I parted it off and then just sanded the bottom off. So it's the whole thing is done there, done on the little spigot there. I might make that spigot a little bit smaller. For the lacquering, I don't know how that's going to work out just yet.
All I'd like to say is that all I've seen at the moment is colour and what a wonderful finish. And I mean, look, this is not one-upmanship. I mean, look what Mother Nature has provided us with here. I'm being cynical here, but nevertheless, it's not too bad, is it? You know.
No, Mike, that is a very nice piece of wood. That.
Yeah.
Very, very nice. It's a nice shape too, which is a surprise for you.
Yeah. No one is more surprised than I, Martin.
No, it's a lovely piece of wood.
No more can be said. Somebody said earlier on there that we work well together and we should do one every 14 days. I think we would definitely not be friends if that was the case.
No, but what we ought to do, Mike, is when we're allowed to be closer together, we ought to actually get together and do one. And and actually do one together in one lathe and one workshop.
Yes, I totally agree. I think, yes, I'm up for that. I am. Because I always like to be serious, as you know.
You do.
Yeah.
You do. Spinning Wood Dodger, thank you very much. Craig Thompson, Martin, do you leave the piece on the chuck for a few days while lacquering? Craig, yes, I will leave the piece on the lathe for this. But what I have done in the past is leave it on the chuck and then take the chuck off and put it somewhere to dry off and cure whilst I'm turning another piece. Dave Rothwell, thank you very much. I appreciate
Dave.
that.
Oh, yeah.
Mike resembles that remark, Dave.
I certainly do. Now I've got my bobble hat on, I've got to put the camera up a bit, look, so you can see it. There we go.
That's actually quite a nice hat, Mike.
It is. Oh,
Yeah.
No.
Harold, thank you very much. That's Harold Sand in Norway, I think.
Yes, it is. Thank you so much.
Hi, Harold. Thank you very much indeed.
Well, I think in actual fact, even with the YouTube percentages, we've hit the 1,500 £, haven't we?
Yes, definitely.
So another another big A moment. Amazing. No, you guys
Yeah.
are really, you are awesome. Really awesome.
That is superb. Keith Calloway's asking, do I buy the gesso already coloured? Yes, I do, Keith. Yeah, you can get black, white, red, clear. You can get all sorts of different coloured gesso, and I just fancied the red and the black.
Somebody said the new M&M, the real slim shaving.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Brilliant. Yeah.
I like that.
Yes, it's
I like that.
amazing, how many nice shavings I was getting tonight, actually. I don't think it was me. You just saw my hands. It wasn't actually me doing the turning.
No, I saw some of the shavings coming off.
Yeah.
Yeah, look very good. Frederick Day. Oh, sorry, Mike.
I'm just going to say, Renee Norman has just given us 250 DKK, Denmark kroners.
Thank you very much, Renee. You're a star.
Thank you so much.
I will donate that live, so everybody can see that going in. Sorry, there was a question there that I've just missed. Where did it go? Carrie Twig, thank you very much. Frederick Day, does humidity temperature have any effect on the final finish? It can do, Frederick, yes, but most of the time it just takes longer to cure. The colder your workshop is, the longer things are going to take, and certainly if you're in a very humid environment, things like lacquers you've got to be very, very careful with, and actually do like one coat at a time over a long period of time, so you don't trap any moisture in between the coats of the lacquer. Right, okay. While everybody is there, Mike, if you can take over with chatting for a minute. I can see in the chat revenue here on my screen, we've got £91.74p.
Well, that's it. We've hit the 1500 then.
So I will donate that right now.
Yeah. Sounds good to me.
I'll blow it. Let's round it up to 100 quid.
I think so. We'll sort that between us, Mark.
Bear with me a minute. So we should see that come up in a minute. Bear with me a minute. Just got to put in my security code. Confirm the donation. Authenticating payment. Continue. That should update any second now, I hope.
Happy New Year to you, Rob, and thanks for popping in. Appreciate it. As I do with all of you, of course. I think we'll have a little chat afterwards anyway, I would imagine.
Come on. Why hasn't that come up? I'm not going until I see that come up. Thank you for your donation, it says. There we go. That'll come up a minute. Does anybody have any questions at all? Oh, Carrie says, do you have a separate video you go to? Oh, I don't understand that, Carrie. Sorry.
I think what I'm trying to say is, have you got a separate video where you go into detail of the process you use to achieve that finish?
Yes. If you have a look on my channel for glass-like lacquer finishing, you can see the whole process. But that was a fairly large bowl done over 5 days. There we go, Mike. It's changed. That now says £1,627. Woohoo!
Oh, that is amazing. Absolutely phenomenal is the only word I can say.
Yeah.
I know we keep saying it, but honestly, guys, I cannot thank you, and I'm sure Martin's the same. We can't thank you enough. It's an extremely worthwhile cause, and we really appreciate the support you've shown, not only us but also Mind UK. It's fantastic. I'm absolutely bubbling here, really am.
Yeah, that is superb. Right, does anybody else have any questions? I don't know what time it is.
It's nearly 9:30.
Nearly 9:30. Okay, should we do 15 minutes, Mike, and then call it a day?
That sounds fine to me. I'd like to say something, and we haven't rehearsed this. Apart from doing something hopefully during the course of next year, what do you guys, and indeed you, Martin, think that we make this an annual event?
Yeah, I'm happy with that. I'm happy to do it.
That's good.
I'm happy to demonstrate with you once a year, Mike.
Yeah, okay. Point taken.
Yes, Mike, I would definitely do it once a year. I think it's a very worthwhile.
Yeah, me too.
I think Trevor Reed says that he's had about 3 hours experience turning and he's thoroughly enjoyed tonight. So thank you very much indeed, Trevor, for tuning in, as indeed everybody, of course.
Yeah, indeed. I think we had about 460 at one stage, which is amazing in itself.
I think so. We've had 5,241 playbacks as well.
Yeah, that's excellent.
Which is just brilliant.
And for those of you that couldn't actually see it live, that have come in late or whatever, obviously Martin will have it, I presume, on your channel. And Martin's going to send me, I'm going to download it, and it'll be on my channel as well. So you can be sick of it twice or three times then.
Yeah, cool. But does anybody have any questions at all about either piece or turning in general, or any of the tools that Mike and I have used tonight?
Well, I've only used three tools. A parting tool, a negative rate scraper, and a 1/2-inch bowl gouge. That's all that's needed.
Martin Chapello says, well done, guys. Amazing. As a mental health worker, this is something I much appreciate you doing. Well, thank you, Martin, for all the work you do. Richard Parker, when you put the lacquer on a porous piece of wood, how do you deal with uneven wetting? Seal it properly first, Richard. That is probably if there's one piece of advice I would give you about dealing with porous wood, particularly something like spalted wood like Mike's been dealing with, there's going to be different areas of porousness in that case, in a case like that. So it's vitally important that you seal the piece evenly first and put more sealer on the more thirsty parts in order to create an even surface, and then start your finishing.
If I could just take over for a second, just to show you, this is spalted beech. This is the side grain, which is lovely and smooth. I've put 3 applications of sanding sealer on this up to now, and all this is fine here. And then when you get to the spalted bit there, hopefully the camera will pick it up, that's had 3 as well, but it's still absorbing it there, and that's what Martin means, that you've got to make sure it's drunk sufficiently that all the wood is completely sealed, because and there you see it still needs more sealer, whereas the middle and this area is fine.
I was sufficiently drunk on Christmas Day, Mike. Does that count?
You were saturated, were you?
I was saturated, yeah. There was a question for you. Dave Hall's asking the size of the blank you used, Mike.
All right. If you look at it, it was 4 inches, or this, I think this is 4 inches. It might be a little bit over, 4.5 inch square, produced that bowl, basically, there. You can go as small or as large as you like, providing the only thing you have to make sure of is you get it a perfect cube, or as perfect as you can get it, because you will get, when you're actually turning it, you'll get very slight differences in the wings, slightly different thicknesses, etc. But practice makes perfect. I mean, that's only the second one I've done in 2 years, so it came out quite well for that. But yeah, I would say minimum 3 inches, but you know, 5-6 inches is a good. If you can get one lump of wood, you can actually laminate wood as well to make your own cube, as long as you make sure you glue it properly and everything is done properly. You can do exactly the same thing. The most important thing is that the actual blank is as perfect a cube as you can get it. Okay.
Good advice, Mike. Very good advice there, Mike. Big Bear Craft, thank you very much indeed for your comment. Jean D, do either of you ever use the paper and glue block for mounting a piece or a platter to preserve the whole piece? Mike does. So over to you, Mike, for that one.
Well, I use, what do you mean, to turn it? Sorry,
Yeah, the question's about using a glue block, a glue block.
Yeah,
glue block for turning a bowl or a platter.
Yes, I actually got a couple of videos up of turning with no chuck, no problem they're called, and I use glue blocks there. I use hot glue. I have a selection, I've got 4 or 5, where are we, here, of these which are glue blocks, and I've actually inserted a nut the same size as my spindle, and as you can see there's glue on there. I use hot glue. I'm a great exponent of that. I've never had a problem with it, providing it's a good quality gun. You get your glue hot and the glue is completely dry, but it must be dry wood, no good on wet wood. And this is where you can, I understand you can use CA glue on damper wood. I've never used CA glue, but I've turned bowls, I've turned an 18-inch bowl on a glue block to prove the point. Yeah, glue blocks are fine, in my opinion, no problem at all. The actual method you're talking about is using, I think, something like tight bond with a paper in between, so it comes. I've never used that, but there are people that do. But glue blocks, great bits of kit.
Cool. Yeah, cheers, Mike. Brian Stapley's asking, is that a diamond belt on my Pro Edge? Yes, it is, and Mike's just got hold of one too. They are as good as people say they are. But there's been a lot of discussion about Pro Edges recently on social media, so I'm going to be moving away from that swiftly.
There's mine. There's mine. I've got one too.
You have?
No, come on, I've got to intercede here. There's been a lot of discussion on social media. I've been aware of this as well. Everything is personal choice, and I'm not going to ramble on. Everything is personal choice. I've tried oxide wheels, I went up to CBN wheels, I've now got a Pro Edge, I've had the Pro Edge, I don't know, a year, 18 months, and I wouldn't use anything else. Personally, for the type of turning I do, the grinds that I use, it is perfect. It's not everybody, it's not going to suit everybody, but not everybody is going to enjoy and use the same things. I would always recommend a Pro Edge, and there are guys that would recommend CBN wheels. So, you know, it's for you to make a choice. But to me, a Pro Edge and a diamond belt is the epitome of sharpening for me. Here endeth the story.
Design and Makes asking if I'll be making any more videos. Yes, I will be. I'm obviously running kind of 3 businesses at the minute. But I do have the permanent camera set up here, and it actually, the last production video I put up, I actually filmed on the rig that I've got set up here, and it cut my filming and editing time down by 8 hours.
Yeah,
which was amazing. I've got to think of a better adjective.
Phenomenal.
It was very good. Yeah, so it cut down the time that I spent hugely, immensely, massively, all of those adjectives. So yeah, there will be, but I need to find the time to actually do it. So yes, there will be. That's a very long question, very long answer just to say yes.
I'll make it even longer by adding my 2 penneth worth in as well. My setup isn't quite as professional as Martin's, but I use 5 cameras. Don't have to move cameras now like I did before. You have to stop when you're doing a normal edited video. And also the file size that OBS recording are so small, you can record if you want 4 hours, and it'll be no more than about 1.5 gig of room on your hard drive. And it's so easy to edit as you're going along almost, and it does. It cuts the time, I would say, by a minimum of 50%, 50-60%. I don't know if you agree with that, Martin.
Yeah, it's a good setup will save you a long time. Hobby Turner's suggesting a New Year present for me being a thesaurus. I had a thesaurus, Hobby Turner, but I lost it, and I just can't find the words to describe how disappointed I am.
Oh yes.
I'll have that.
I must remember.
Yeah, right. Okay. It's almost time for us to wind up. I'm just going to post the link in chat one more time in case anybody would like to place a donation to Mind. All of your donations this evening have been amazing. There we go again. No, they have been fantastic. So thank you very much indeed for joining in with Mike and I this evening, and of course for your donations. I hope you found my half of the demonstration interesting, and I'm sure Mike hopes that you found his half of the demonstration remotely interesting.
Yes, I could live in hope.
No, superb job, Mike. Thank you very much. But I think we are going to. I think are we done, Mike?
I think so. I'd like
I
to
think so.
on Zoom with you for a little minute afterwards.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
guys.
that's okay.
Martin's given his thanks. I'd like to thank you as well. I'm not going to go on, I promise you, like I normally do. But thank you very much for your support in both watching Martin and myself. I know we both had a gas. We've really enjoyed it. And more importantly, thank you so much for the donations. I'm speechless. I'm not going to say amazing because it's more than that. Thanks very much indeed. And I'll say good night now, and then Martin can sign off and say good night too. And I look forward to seeing you in the near future. Thanks a lot, guys.
Cheers. Well, thank you very much, Mike, for coming on and doing the demonstration with me this evening. We only organised it about a week ago. Well, we only said we would do it a week ago, and we organised it at lunchtime today. So I think, all in all, it was very successful. And once again, thank you all for joining us this evening. I know it's the festive time of year, and everybody has hopefully can see some family if they can, but otherwise thank you very much, and for your donations. And Mike and I will be seeing you again soon on our own individual channels. So thank you very much, everybody. I'm going to end the stream now, and take care and have a very happy and creative new year. Bye for now. Okay, Mike.
Okay, mate.